How is it going, everyone? Sean Ross here, and I'm here to bring you guys my review on Tokyo Ghoul chapter 142, which was entitled Lament. Now, I really enjoyed this week's chapter. I thought it was very good. It wasn't absolutely amazing, like rip your shirt off and just scream Ishida's name to the rooftop amazing, but it was really good. But you guys got to admit, those last 2 pages has got you hyped for next week's chapter. With the possibility of having Kaneki show up down in the underground raises a lot of questions, but as it stands right now, the Nemu Dash by Furuta is no longer the fastest speed we have witnessed within the Tokyo Ghoul manga, because it took Furuta 6 hours to make it down into the underground. At least that's what it is portrayed when we get the timestamp a few chapters back. And it took Kaneki 1 chapter to make it from the scouting squad down back into the underground. Like, that right there is Olympic track medalist speed. Like, we gotta give a new name to this dash that Kaneki has shown us in this chapter, whether it be the Royal King Dash or the Kani Dash. Trademark it however you like, but you gotta admit, that speed of Kaneki, with his waifu senses tingling, making it down into the underground has got me hyped, because right now this presents us with the possibility of a confrontation between Suzuya and Kaneki. Like, that right there has me hyped alone. And then we'll have Furuta in the background with popcorn watching it all unfold, with the big troll that he is. But oh man, I am super hyped. But other than that, the content in this chapter pertaining to Hinami, I really enjoyed. I'll talk about that in a little bit, but I want to start at the beginning of this chapter because there are some interesting things and it raises a lot of questions in my mind about what the hell is going on in these first 2 pages. But I want to give a quick shout out to Kaneki Uchiha and Kings Forever. You guys are awesome. You guys bring a smile to my face whenever you guys leave comments down below. I think you guys deserve a quick shout out because you guys are awesome. So let's dive into this chapter with the first page. So we open up with this week's chapter with Yomo being very bloodied and beaten, making his way over to Hinami and Toka, but he ends up confronting a very mysterious figure. Now, most of us already know who this mysterious figure is, or at least that's who we're guessing it to be, but I have 2 questions to go along with this character. Number 1, is it in fact Uta who has now, presented himself in front of Yomo? And 2, why did he choose this face? Out of all the faces that he could make, he wore this one right now in front of Yomo. Whether or not this is a new character or not, I believe that this is Uta, changing his face, talking to Yomo, because this character seems to know Yomo pretty well. But when I look at this face, it looks like Ditto from Pokemon or Togata from Boku no Hero Academia within the manga. Like, right now, I just get I get a laugh every time I'm looking at this face on the first page. But I love the dialogue too, because this kind of brings to light, Yomo as a character, stuff we already knew about him, but it kind of just throws it into his face. And I love the line that he delivers once, Uta kind of delivers this line. And the line reads as this: "If you try to fight against the things you've lost, you'll ultimately have to pay for it. The repentance for you is you yourself. I'm advising you as a friend. If you proceed any further, you're going to lose your life." And then Yomo responds with, "That's why I've been doing this." It's a badass line to deliver to, if this is in fact Uta, but this kind of summarizes Yomo's character in a nutshell, because his whole life has kind of been tragedy, he's had loss, and his main drive is to basically protect everyone around him that he loves, preferably Toka and Ayato, but that also includes Hinami, Kaneki, everyone within the GOAT organization. So this right here I really do enjoy, and I'm really curious to wonder why Uta is down here and whether or not we're actually going to see what happens further on with Yomo and, this Uta mysterious character. But the second page raises so many more questions for me, and it has to do with Arimi and Koma. Why does it seem like they just got taken out like fodder? Koma, the Devil Ape, has been hyped up so many times within Tokyo Ghoul, even in part 1. Same thing with Arimi, the Devil Ape and the Black Dober. These 2 are really strong ghouls, but the way that these panels are set out with the, the repeating of the, the description of their squad, where they're located and what they're in charge of, we see these bodies on the ground and they just seem lifeless and dead. Who took them out and why were they taken out so easily, if that is the case? I'm hoping that is not the case, because I would really like to have Koma and Arimi have some time to shine. We had that at the ending of part 1, but ever since they kind of been reintroduced, they've just been side characters. I would really like to see them, more at the forefront and have more badass moments for them. So we'll see where this unfolds, but I really would hate it if this was, just their squad taken out so easily. And then we kind of move on to the foraging squad, which has Tsukiyama and Nishiki. And what's interesting about this is that it doesn't show Kaneki at all, which kind of goes all the way to the last page of this week's chapter. And we have this dialogue of them basically moving forward. It's starting to rain, and Nishiki's looking up. It's like, well, I hate the rain. And this is where it leads into the part of the chapter that doesn't have to do with action. It's just symbolism. It's just looking at panels. It speaks louder than words because, you know, as the saying goes, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And I really do like the parallels of, you know, the above ground and the underground, because when you look at these panels of it just raining above ground, it's peaceful, everyone has umbrellas, and everyone isn't really panicking. They are just, you know, going with the flow. They have their umbrellas, just going about their daily routine. So you have it raining water up above, but when you go down to the underground, it is basically raining blood and havoc. So it's kind of like a good juxtaposition of the above ground and underground. And just within this page alone, Ishida is able to demonstrate the calm of the storm and then what comes after the storm. I really like this. But then we move into the big chunk of this chapter that basically pertains to Hinami, Toka, Suzuya, and Hanbi. Now, I really enjoyed this section because we got a good monologue for Hinami's character, but we also got some cool panels of Suzuya and Hinami in this chapter. And there are some badass panels of Hinami in this chapter. And that's where I have to give credit, because this just goes to show the development of Hinami's character throughout all of Tokyo Ghoul, because she's been weak for majority of part 1 of Tokyo Ghoul. But this chapter right here goes to show the strength, the power, and also the development of her character, just to see how determined she is to protect the people that she loves. She's willing to sacrifice her life in this situation in order to protect Toka, the children, Kaneki, and the GOAT organization, but also the child within Toka. I said in my live reaction I was unsure whether or not Hinami already knows that Toka is pregnant, but that line where she says you have to go protect the children could have a double meaning, where it could be the Ghoul children, but also the future children that could possibly, you know, sprout up if they are able to escape. You can take that many, many ways, but I just love a lot of the panels within this section of Suzuya, of Hanbi, and of course Hinami. But this is where I have to talk about this inner monologue of Hinami, because this kind of sums up her character and her whole arc throughout all of Tokyo Ghoul. Because for her, her main reason of joining Ogiri Tree that a lot of people had questions about during the beginnings of Tokyo Ghoul Re comes down to the fact that she wanted to become stronger. She was blaming herself that she wasn't strong enough, because throughout all of part 1, she had all of these tragedies fall upon herself, and she actually had to rely on others in order to protect her and keep her safe. But she didn't want that. She wanted to become stronger. So she actually looked up to Kaneki and Toka for strength, for guidance, and hopefully to become stronger to where she wouldn't really have to rely on them, and she could kind of become her own person. And I really do like that. And another cool section that was actually a cool callback, if you guys read the light novels for Tokyo Ghoul, she wanted Toka to be happy. So if you guys have not yet, definitely go read some of the light novels. Preferably read Tokyo Ghoul Void, and I have it bookmarked right here, Chapter 4, The Ties That Wound. This chapter in particular actually deals with Hinami, so if you want to get more into Hinami's character, it ties in very perfectly to the inner monologue that Hinami has in this chapter, because in this chapter, it's during the 6th month time skip between volume 8 and 9, after the Ogiri Tree raid, and to where we resume with Kaneki, you know, searching for Dr. Kano. Definitely go check that out because it ties in very heavily with the monologue in this chapter. So Toka leaves the burden on Hinami to protect everyone against the onslaught of Suzuya and Hanbi. And this is where we have some great moments of Hinami standing up to Suzuya and Hanbi. She does her absolute best. We see her Kagane morph into different forms, where one looks like a Venus flytrap, but it ends up happening to where Suzuya ends up getting the best of Hinami in this situation, thanks to Hanbi, you know, causing a diversion. She ends up getting her leg chopped off, and we have cool dialogue back and forth between, you know, Suzuya basically saying, "Are you still going to stand?" and Hinami saying so badassly, "Yes, I am." But even though she feels like she's about to die in this situation, she's still thinking back to Kaneki and Toka. I love the dialogue. I love the symbolism, especially including the 4-leaf clover in this chapter, because that has been tied to Hinami throughout Tokyo Ghoul. And as she's, you know, kind of giving up in the ending of this chapter, she's talking about, you know, Toka wanting to be happy. We have this great panel of both Toka and Kaneki standing next to each other with their backs towards us, and she is just basically saying Kaneki's name, or at least Oni-chan, in this chapter, and miraculously saying it so many times ends up having Kaneki appear. Honestly, After reading this chapter, Kaneki is basically Beetlejuice. You say his name a couple of times and then he ends up appearing. And that panel too, when Juzo is about to slice Hinami with Jason, we see this like field of Kagane just sprouting out of nowhere. And if you do notice, there is like an indication to show that Juzo ended up missing Hinami because the Kagane ended up moving her back a bit. So she did not get stabbed or cut by Jason with Juzo about to, slice her up. So that is really good to see, but I love this last page. This last panel of just like the Kagane coming through the ceiling. Juzo's looking up like, what is this? And then Furuta's face where he's basically saying like, ooh, a Kagane. V. And then we get like the reveal that Kaneki magically ran like the fastest anyone has ever ran, the Royal King Dash from the foraging squad all the way back down towards the underground when we see his chibi head missing from Tsukiyama, Nishiki, and Banjo. Like this I am so looking forward to because we're about to get a Kaneki versus Suzuya matchup. Whether or not that's gonna happen, whether we're gonna talk a little bit because there is some history between these characters and I have a feeling it's going to be very, very difficult for Juzo for a little bit. I honestly think he will still fight Kaneki, but there's going to be some turmoil with this character because you gotta remember, Heise was the guy that provided snacks to Juzo. That is someone very special to him. So I am very curious to see how Ishida is going to handle this, but I am so looking forward to next chapter, chapter 143, and just getting to see the relief on Hinami's face as she's just like, is it really ... She's thinking like, is this actually Kaneki? I would actually be very surprised if this wasn't in fact Kaneki because this is building up to having Kaneki showing up and rescuing everyone, but a lot of questions about this because you also gotta think also as well. Toka has ran away right now. We don't know what's going to happen to her because he can come in, save the day here, but I'm hoping that with Toka off screen, nothing bad happens, whether it be from, Hajime, from Kui, everything with Zero Squad. There's so many possibilities right now, but I'm hoping for the best, trying to stay positive, hoping none of our favorite characters end up dying. Naki is still MIA right now, hoping for the best for that character right there. But as of right now, I am super hyped, and that is basically everything I wanted to talk about for this chapter. There's some interesting things coming up with chapter 143. I have a feeling it's going to be a very big, significant chapter, so definitely look forward to that, guys. I want to hear all your opinions about this chapter, so leave your comments down below about what you thought about this chapter, any theories, speculations, talking about maybe like that possible Uta character at the beginning, Kaneki randomly, surprisingly showing up at the end, and everything in between in this chapter. Leave that down in the comments below. I love you guys so much. You guys, like your comments and everything. It brings a smile to my face every time I see you guys leave a comment, and just excited to talk about Tokyo Ghoul because I love talking about it with you guys, and I hope you guys enjoy it as well. And a little alert for you guys, pretty soon with the latest, this is actually different than for Tokyo Ghoul, My Hero Academia. Boku no Hero Academia, the manga, I am officially caught up with that, so expect chapter reviews for that series very, very soon. It's going to be very exciting, and I hope you guys join in on that if you guys read My Hero Academia as well. So that's gonna be it for my review, guys. So until next week, when we get chapter 143, I'll talk with you guys later. Bye, guys.